Hello, Matrix Live. Welcome. It is the 22nd of November 2019. I'm Ben. I'm here with Marcus. You might have seen him around the Matrix ecosystem as Boo Boo, but his name is Marcus and he's here to talk to us today. We're actually quite grateful to him. He's come over to Matrix Towers all the way from Germany and he brought with him a big stack of ginger biscuits of various types. So I recommend if you're ever visiting an office or going to anywhere, bringing some local sugar is a fine idea.
It's always good.
Hey, how you doing?
I am fine. Nice to be here.
Yeah, good. So, what have you been doing? What is your interest in Matrix? Who are you?
Yeah, I'm mainly involved in F-Droid for quite a while now. I'm maintaining a lot of apps there. I'm also doing some server development for build server stuff and fixing problems that come along. And yeah, also do a lot of community stuff for F-Droid, managing the Mastodon accounts and forum moderation and so on. And so I've been I've been a user of Matrix for quite a while, and I found the community very welcome, so I got kind of sucked into the project a bit, and I'm here now.
Yeah. So what's F-Droid, before we go any further?
Right. So F-Droid is a free app store for Android devices, where it's not really a store, you can't buy anything, but it's like a Linux package repository, which by default contains only free and open source apps built from source by F-Droid. And
so it behaves like, and it complements the Play Store. So you run it alongside you
can run it alongside, definitely. I never use Google Play services or the Play Store on my Android phone, so
no. Okay.
I'm working on trying to make that normal user compatible, that you don't have to rely on Google's
absolutely. It's just
services for Android.
But a novice user.
I'm dog feeding it,
yeah.
And it works.
Okay.
I can totally go along my normal life, but there's always hurdles and things that don't work and things that I have to make work.
Yeah. I'm thinking for a normal user that they can just, they've got an Android phone, it's all Googleified. They can start to use more open source apps by installing the F-Droid store, and you can actually install it from the Play Store, I think.
You cannot.
You cannot?
Google doesn't allow any competing app stores on the App Store, which is, I don't think it would hold up with the EU guidelines of antitrust law. But, well, somebody has to challenge them.
I mean, we're not going to find out.
We don't have any capacity to do that, so.
Sure. Okay, but it's a way of getting open source and particularly FOSS apps onto your Android and doing away with Google, not needing to rely on Google. So
yes, exactly.
Cool. Cool. So, so you got involved in that primarily because you were motivated by open source. Yeah.
Yes. Like not having to rely on this company instance to manage your data for you, and decentralization. I want to be in charge of my own data, or I want to give it to someone I trust.
Okay.
So yeah, FOSS apps, FOSS software is I think the best part towards this.
All right, cool. So it comes from a sort of philosophical place for you to have this. Cool. All right, cool. So, and what's your next project then? So this is something that you've been working on for a while, but this year you've had a new project.
Exactly. There's like I said, I package a lot of apps for F-Droid, and one thing that comes up a lot is that for push messages, which are like central to especially chat apps, there's no, like the normal way to do it on Android is using Google's Firebase Cloud Messaging, or previously Google Cloud Messaging, which has two problems for F-Droid. The first, like showstopper blocker problem, is it's a non-free library, which gets compiled into the app. So any software using it is then by definition non-free, and it can't be distributed on F-Droid because we only distribute free and open source software.
Yeah.
And the other problem is, if you're using that system, you're going to send your messages, your push messages via Google servers, so they get, well, probably not the content, depending on what the app developers do, but at least they get some metadata. And that's something I want to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, it's hugely anti-centralization. It basically means that everything goes via Google or Apple on the other side. There's no. Yeah.
So I wanted to find a solution for that, and so I pitched a project to Prototype Fund, which is something a project like funded by the German government for open source developers for building like civic tech user in control software for building an open source decentralized replacement for Google push messages, basically.
Cool. Well, why do we need why does this need a project at all? Like, why can't every app just go to their, go get notifications or open a push channel?
Right. So one thing is you have to like implement it for every app. You have like 20 different implementations because it's like you work differently, and this could work, of course. The point is that the Google Cloud Messaging thing, the problem it solves is you only need one persistent connection from your phone to one server that needs to be kept alive, and your phone needs to wake up every X minutes to check if the connection is still alive. And if every one of your 10 different chat apps does it by its own, you need to wake up 10 times as much.
Okay.
And so you're going to lose a lot of battery.
Okay.
And that's something you as a user want to avoid, and that's also something Google is pushing hard for, but it's disallowing a lot of things for app developers to do. So it's not even always possible to do it on an app level, or only with certain like restrictions, like you need to show this is a notification or something.
Interesting. So Google actively don't want people to do their own implementations all the time. Okay,
definitely.
Cool. All right, cool. So you were motivated to essentially build a drop-in replacement for this channel.
It's not going to be completely drop-in because it has some sort of different like security and ownership assumptions on who's in control of stuff. It's going to be as drop-in as possible within like the framework I'm working in. It will need changes from the app developer and server side at least, and also on client side. So it's going to be not huge changes, but it won't be drop-in, which is a problem. But I have to talk to people. So here's a project. Would you be interested in including?
I mean, the thing is, if you're already thinking about this, then you're more likely to get buy-in. Like if people are already thinking, well, I'm not really comfortable with this Google situation, then those people are going to be your first sort of people that you're going to talk to, and they're more likely to be convinced. So will people need to host a server component for this to work?
Someone will need to host a server component.
Right. Okay.
Which might be the same entity that hosts your Matrix home server.
Got it. Okay.
So I said the trust model is a bit different, and from in Google's world, there's this one push server Google hosts, and messages get sent to this push server. And this project I'm building, the user of the phone decides this is the push server I want to use. Here's the URL, and that gets communicated to the Matrix home server.
Right. I see. Okay. So there needs to be quite strong integration between the client, your project, and the Matrix home, or whatever home server it is. We're talking about Matrix, but it could be any. It could be any protocol really. What's the name? Do we have a name for this?
It's currently called OpenPush. It's like I'm not good at names, but that's the way it's called.
Strong name. I mean, if it's available, then great. You're the OpenPush guy. Cool.
So the status is I worked on this 6 months for this year, from March to August. I did a bunch of research in what would be needed to get this like the framework, and I designed some API server and the client side APIs, and I implemented the server side part, which is about finished right now. It's probably needs some API changes in the future, but anyway, I'm currently on the client side part where it's an app on Android which connects to the push service and receives the notifications. That's not done yet, still being worked on.
So how long, wait a minute, you started this in March, right? So most of your time has been allotted to the server component, I guess.
Basically. Okay, cool. So it's now the funding stopped, and I'm trying to continue working with my free time.
Right.
So
Ah, I
it's
see.
it's
So it was a
yeah.
6-month deal, right, with
Yeah.
the prototype fund. And how was it working with them?
It was pretty low effort for like a
Okay.
government funding project
Right. Okay.
because the prototype fund kind of got created to proxy the government grant thing.
Right. Okay. All right.
So you do fill out a 10-question web form with your application to prototype fund.
Mm-hmm.
They pre-select all projects. Okay, we want to fund this, this, and this, and then you get coaching on how to submit the 25-page grant application to the federal ministry.
I see.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. So there's sort of a middleman for getting people like you into the grant space.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. Right. I didn't know. Cool.
Not sure if it's available in any other country or some similar, but
I don't know. I mean,
it's like an experiment by the German government or like this one ministry that we could try doing this. It's not going to run for that much longer now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be like restarted or extended or something.
I mean, it's a great idea because I think first of all the minutiae and difficulty of doing a 25-page grant application just puts off a huge percentage of people.
Definitely put me off before.
Right. Yeah, and it also the people who read those 25-page applications are not necessarily best informed to pick the projects. So having a middleman actually is quite useful here. They can be a bit more responsive and they speak both languages essentially. All right, should we talk more about the project? Do you want to take some time and do your architecture?
Yeah,
we can show.
The architecture.
So here's one we built earlier. We can. Oh, maybe I can move this over. There we go. Cool. Yeah, maybe you can use that. You want to make it smaller?
Yeah.
No. I just make it really small.
So, so basically, I tried to explain. Yeah. Well.
Alright, you can move it. Just drag it like that. Drag this guy. Yeah. That's okay, right?
That works. So this is your phone. You have a bunch of user apps for different services like Rocket Chat, Matrix, Nextcloud, whatever.
Sure. Matrix though, yeah.
Matrix. And you have a corresponding app server, which would be your Matrix home server or your Nextcloud instance.
Mm-hmm.
Or like there's always this pair of things like this one wants to send push messages to this one.
Okay. There's always a client and server component.
Exactly. And then you have, this is what I designed and built in this project. You have a push server implementation, which is currently a separate instance from the app server because I wanted to have generic.
Yeah.
And this guy there's a corresponding client running on Android, which sole responsibility is connecting to the push server, keeping this one persistent connection open, and then distributing messages to the user apps.
Okay.
So the app registers with the push client on the phone, gets a token that gets communicated to the app server, together with a URL of the push server you choose. And then the app server, when it wants to send a push message to the app on the phone, it uses this token together with a URL of your push server and sends a message.
Got it. Okay. So as soon as Synapse knows that it needs to talk to you, it knows which user it wants to talk to, it can use that app token and it can talk to the push server, and then the push server just handles it. As far as Synapse is concerned, that's the end of its involvement.
Well, there's some technicality because there's also the Signal project, which was built to proxy the FCM pushes from like a user as a home server, but that home server doesn't have the key to push messages to the official Play Store Ride app.
Yes.
So it needs to push it to the Signal instance running on matrix.org, which then has a key to push to the official Ride app.
Yes. Which is also a form of centralization in its own way.
Which is a form of centralization, which is... I thought a bit about why you need this extra key. The app developer, only the app developer has, or the app distributor, the one who put it on the Play Store. And it's not really a security measure. It's only the only thing I could come up with is like accounting, billing, or end abuse management on Google's site.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Google's motivation. It just
Yeah,
doesn't.
definitely.
Yeah, right.
There's no like in this OpenPush model, you don't need that.
No, okay.
Because you still have the token from the app, and you need that token to send a message to the from the instance, the installed instance of an app.
Yeah.
And you need that token to push a message to an app.
Yeah,
otherwise it wouldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. No, okay. Okay, so you don't need you need an individually addressable token rather than
that's Google has it as well, but it additionally has this global token for this pairing of compiled app to developer, and that's harmful for centralization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
And we don't need that anymore. So I think that is my the thing I wanted to talk to a project who might be interested in this project and this OpenPush project. They're going to be interested because they don't need to host a centralized push proxy anymore. Because then in other instances of those projects could host their own push.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Are they?
That's going to be my selling point.
Absolutely. No, I mean that's how we sell Matrix too. You know, have your own home server.
Yeah.
You're also going to have the vulnerability that we have, which is that we're trying to get people to host home servers, but still a terrific amount of traffic goes through matrix.org. Do you think that you'll end up in a situation where there's just a few OpenPush servers, and then you've partly decentralized?
I don't know.
No, okay. I mean, it's just a risk. I don't want
to. I don't know. That always seems to be like a bit of a random thing. If this happens, it happens with Mastodon. It happens with Matrix.org, but it doesn't happen with other projects.
No.
Maybe it's not random, but yeah.
No, I mean,
make it easy to host for people. Make it easy to maybe embed into other software, so that you might automatically get it with your Matrix home server via some packaging.
Right. So here we go. So this is the next step then is to get deployment easier, and part of that could be deploying it with Matrix. I mean, on that front, then, what is the here we go. What is the transport layer? So,
interesting. So what I built for the initial prototype was using the transport between the push client server is service sent events, which is relatively old HTTP technology, which nobody really, or not a lot of people know about it.
Okay.
It's super easy. It's just making an HTTP request and saying don't close it.
Yeah, it's long polling, or used to be. Or comment it.
It's not really. No? Well, it's kind of like it's not really long polling.
Oh, okay.
It's similar. So you make this HTTP request.
Yeah.
With that certain header, which tells the server don't close this connection immediately.
Okay.
And then the server just sends new line separated events. Formatted in a very simple text, like data : here's your JSON blob.
Right. Yeah. I remember.
Double new line.
Yeah. Okay.
It's unidirectional. It's like WebSocket would be similar option based on HTTP.
We only care about unidirectional, right?
Right, exactly. So you only need unidirectional, so it's good enough.
Okay.
It's way simpler to implement some WebSockets because it's just HTTP with a certain header. And it's probably not the perfect transport, but in the test I did, it worked well enough for bringing the concept out and trying it out.
Okay. But it's coming down the line as JSON blocks, JSON objects.
It's coming down the line as server-sent events, which is like a very slim text model of things, and inside the data field of that is a JSON block.
Okay. But that's a choice that you've made. It's not a prescribed choice. Okay, cool.
And that JSON block is then parsed by the push client.
Right, yeah.
And that contains then contains to which app this is actually addressed, and it also contains a payload, which is decided by the app server, and that payload gets delivered to the app.
Could we cut out the middleman by matrix objects, or matrix is already sent as JSON objects? Can we shortcut this? Then we wouldn't have to. Which app is this for? Could we simplify, or is this making it more complicated?
It's making it both more complicated and more simple. I talked to Matthew about this earlier.
Great.
So, this thing is deliberately designed to have an API on the server side and an API on the client side.
Yeah.
And the transport can be switched out.
Okay, good.
So what I imagined we could do by using Matrix as a push transport is that you actually implement the push server, your API inside the Matrix home server or another component which belongs to the Matrix ecosystem.
Okay, yeah.
And you implement the push client API in Riot, for example, or a native Matrix client for Android.
Okay.
And then other apps can register to that Matrix client for push, and other web apps can register or can send push notifications to the server.
Okay.
To the Matrix server, and it's the same API as a generic transport I built. And
I'm thinking
you're speaking native Matrix.
Yeah, I'm just thinking how powerful that could be, because then you'd end up with, some of your rooms are chat rooms, but some of your rooms are just directions for notifications to be sent.
Probably yes.
But the client would have to handle that. Anyway, this is future.
This is a lot future talk. So what Matrix currently doesn't have actually a way to send pushes at all. There's a draft specification apparently, which then would use WebSockets for co-op. With observe and keep alive semantics.
Okay.
That's not implemented yet.
No, okay.
Matthew said it wouldn't be very hard to add, but so right now there's no persistent Matrix connection which could serve as a push channel.
No. Okay.
In the future there will probably be.
There probably would be.
And so what this would buy you by using Matrix as a push transport is you then have one connection for the push channel and one connection for your Matrix server client.
Right, yeah.
But you condense it into one connection.
Yeah.
You then have an XMPP client that also has a persistent connection.
Yeah.
And I don't see a practical way of collapsing that into each other.
The thing is,
Matthew had a lot of plans to convince the XMPP people.
I mean,
what? No, I'm not going.
So there's a lot to unpack there. But I mean, so I guess the point in terms of more integration with Matrix is you would be more likely to get more benefit if you were already a Matrix user or you already had some other purpose for Matrix.
Yeah.
But I mean, these things can coalesce. We're expecting growth in the time frame that you're expecting to roll this out. So it's future, but it's not completely sci-fi to think that this kind of integration could take place. Is there more about the architecture that you want to discuss? How much detail you want to get into?
No, I think that's about the general overview. That's interesting.
All right, cool.
To people.
What other topics we got? What have we been doing lately? I think we've done everything on our list, but is there anything else you wanted to add? Are you looking for contributors, and how can people get involved in OpenPush generally?
Well, one thing, other people like thinking about the concept, and I think this makes sense and this is valid. Other people actually verifying and engaging with this, and this would be cool.
Yeah.
For the implementation thing, I still want to finish the client implementation first and have an initial working prototype.
So it's more conceptual feedback you're after, just
in the moment, yes. And after the initial prototype implementation actually is running in the wild, I guess then I'd be other people jumping on this.
Right. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always gratifying to have first of all people using your product, but people caring enough about it to want to contribute. It's an amazing thing. Cool. All right. Any other topics you wanna add? Well, you've got a global audience of dozens.
Well, in F-Droid.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let's cover that. So you published today Riot X, which is through another repo.
Exactly.
Paddle.
Yes.
What am I missing?
There's some Matrix SMS.
Oh, go away. Yeah. That's true.
That's
yeah.
The SDK as well.
Yeah.
And Mini Victor.
course, yeah, mini-vector. I mean, mini-vector is a
slimmed down for
yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, so let's go over them. So you've been packaging Riot for ages now.
Yes. Yes. Riot uses the Jitsi integration, which uses React Native, which is a pain to package. Minivector doesn't, which is great.
Right.
So, that's a lot easier to package. But they're both like kind of on hiatus now, so they don't get updates that often.
No, not as much.
Riot X. We looked into packaging Riot X for the main F-Droid repository. There's some sort of dependency. We need to hunt down the source codes or convince developers to publish their apps to the main Maven repository things to figure out. It's work in progress. It's not high on the. Oh, the disk is almost full.
Well, yeah, because we've been recording full screen video for.
It's not on the priority list until Riot X is like out, I think. So you can get it via the development repo.
And Crumble?
Crumble does this, yes.
Does it? Yeah, so it's quite easy to add, and we've got like instructions on all the Riot X media.
And then there's Petal, which
it's Flutter.
It's a Flutter app. It's published in F-Droid, but the newest version, for some reason, I haven't quite figured out it doesn't build.
Google again, isn't it? Google caused all your problems, huh?
Maybe, but I've heard Flutter is pretty cool. I don't know. It's it uses a weird build system. Anyway,
I mean, does it compile? Like, if you do it locally, does it compile down to something that can be opened in Android Studio? How does it work, or does it go straight through?
Actually, no.
No. Okay.
I have no idea.
No. Okay. Because I know. I mean, that, like React Native is a bit like that. You know, you get these intermediate steps.
Yeah. So updating Paddle is also like work in progress.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing a lot. You're doing a huge number of open source apps are available through F-Droid, and it's kind of a constant incremental work, right? Just constantly new updates that have to be built, and then the builds don't work, so you need to deal with that. It's like running a full-time CI farm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you for that. Yeah, we do appreciate it. All right, Marcus. Let's say thank you. Bye, Matrix Live.
Bye.
Find my disc fills up. Bye.